Let's get back to the business of making cement. Big one, Nigeria's biggest company by market cap, or what you call capitalization. That is the number of shares multiplied by the current share price. That's how you arrive at market cap. Very simple arithmetic. I think I got that right. Okay, so that's Dangote Cement. Group revenue, 805 billion naira, up 31% for the full year 2017. Net profit up by 43%. EBITDA, that's earnings before interest, depreciation and amortization, was close to 400 billion. That's about half. That's about about 51%. Beg your pardon. To the north. Sales volume was about 1.9 million metric tons. That's slightly down, while the company is declaring a final dividend of 10 naira 50 kobo and earnings per share for the company, not for the group, 14 naira 94 kobo. We have a lot to chew about. Well, the Nigerian unit and the non-Nigerian unit are pacing out in this cement company that you heard earlier, supplying cement, not just across Africa, all the way from Ethiopia to Kenya to Zambia, Tanzania, and all the way down to Cameroon and even the Congo. Nearly 20 African countries doing the biggest trade in cement on the continent. Eronmosele Aziba is from Afrinvest. He's one of the investment analysts. It's good to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
When Dangote Cement, like some of the big banks report earnings, you guys, all of us fawn over it. Because the guy who's got a big deep pocket anyway. So you can't do without Dangote, because you don't have to buy cement. Of course, you have to use the bridge or roads made with Dangote Cement. So this is a bit of an advertorial for the company, if you ask me. So these numbers look good, right?
Yes, I mean, they're largely positive, which isn't coming as a surprise. So you had their gross revenue up about 31%, recording about 805 billion in revenue, and even trickling down to their EBITDA, we saw quite impressive numbers. Profitability-wise, growth of about 43% thereabout, to record a profit of about 204 billion. So the results have actually been largely positive, largely impressive, although profitability came in, the PAT that the company recorded came in a bit lower than had been earlier forecast, and this was largely due to the higher taxes that we saw in the result. Well, upon further clarification from the company during the
earnings call,
yes,
yesterday,
during the earnings call, they stated that the increased taxes that we're seeing here is largely just a provision while they're working on getting pioneer status details, agreements for some of their production lines. We know with the Obajana and Ibese, they had about 2 production lines that were still eligible to pioneer status, which would lead them to exemption from some taxes.
Yes, when you build a facility like that, of course, Obajana had since expired as far as that goes, but you keep adding lines to it.
Yes, so each of the lines gets the pioneer status on it, and for about 2 of the lines in Ibese, you have the 3 years. So for pioneer tax status, you have 3 years, then you have you can get an extension of 2 additional years. So they're currently working on getting the extension for 2 additional years. Well, they have 2 lines that haven't even benefited from taking over from
at all. I'm sure Boko will also. I'm not too sure if Boko falls under that. If the work being done in Boko will fall under the pioneer tax. So the net profit that fell behind some estimates, including Bloomberg consensus, was due to this tax issue.
Essentially, well, it was largely due to that, and from further guidance, like I mentioned, from the company, the process has already been started. The process with getting the pioneer tax status reinstated from the NIPC, Nigerian Investment
Promotion Council. Yes, Commission.
And the company is largely optimistic that this would be it will be gotten, and they will be able to effect it on their books. So as a result of the delay that has been noticed in actually getting the appropriate pioneer status required. The 2016 numbers were also restated for the tax bit, which also affected profitability. But like I mentioned, the company has come out to say they're largely optimistic in terms of getting this pioneer status reinstated, and then their books will be adjusted appropriately.
Accordingly. It's like revising your GDP or whatever. It's like revising your GDP, isn't it?
Well, yes,
something
so
like that.
they're going to restate the results to reflect the current situation.
Yeah, your situation. So that's the high point of yesterday's analyst call in Nigeria and around the world by Dangote Cement.
Yes.
That's what you picked from there.
Essentially. And the thing with the results is it came out close to the end of trading, so we haven't seen investors react to it yet. Trading activities from today should possibly show how investors are assessing the result. But, I mean, expectations are largely positive. I mean, worst case scenario, maybe things would just remain flat, but definitely not negative. Yeah,
the stock Dangote Cement finished flat yesterday. Folks at Cultural Capital says, at first glance, these numbers look impressive. At FBN Quest, they says the estimates will be under review. We rate the shares neutral. What's your take at Afrinvest?
Well, at Afrinvest, we're still the company is still under review based on the most recent numbers that have come out, but we have a hold on the stock at the moment.
A hold?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not sure anyone has a sell yet. I haven't seen. I'm combing the books. If anyone will put a sell, at worst you go for neutral. Okay, but then if you look at, let's break down these operations of Dangote Cement. Nigeria is a home country, and looking at these numbers, it looks like there's a bit of a pressure on the home base for Dangote Cement in 2017 in terms of volume.
Yes, so what we saw in 2017 where prices were actually adjusted upwards, and as a result of this we had lower volumes, but with the adjustments in prices that we saw, it made up for that shortfall in reduced volumes from Nigeria. But if you look at the Pan-African operations, we saw an increase in volumes from Pan-African operations.
We'll talk about Pan-Africa, but let's say charity begins at home. So let's stick at home first for a few minutes. What do you think the key issues are for this company at the home front?
Well, if you're
pricing,
considering the current state of the Nigerian macroeconomic space, we know as at the first quarter of last year, we were still in recession. We came out in 2017, in the second quarter of 2017, we started to see activities pick up, although it's been quite slow, but things are improving generally. And even in 2018, macro indicators that have come out have been largely positive. And we believe this could lead to a further increase in probably demand as well, with the plans for capital expenditure, construction works that are going to be going on. So this volume numbers could increase. But we also have to bear in mind that the higher prices as well could have pressured demand
a little bit. And again, if you're looking at a Q1, Q2 2017, where we still have a bit of a flu, as it were, from the cold that we got out in 2016. And but again, if you put that side by side with what the government wants to do, it looks like in terms of spending, with the exception of the federal government, I'm not too sure so many state governments were spending massively on infrastructure. Oh, aside Lagos. Okay, yeah, I'll give that to somebody there. Yes.
Well, I mean, it's in the works. So capital expenditure, the plans for capital expenditure are larger than what we've seen in prior years. So with increased construction works going on, you know, cement is a key ingredient needed in whatever construction work you're going to be doing. So we can only hope that will be positive for the company.
No, let's step out of Nigeria, looking at the cement operations for Dangote Investments in Benin Republic, in Cameroon, in Ethiopia, and Senegal. A bit of it to the left, to the right, and to the Horn of Africa, where this Pan-African operation is. And we're seeing significant volume growth there, around 2.3 million metric tons. That's in Q4. That's quite...
Yes, I mean, we've seen increased volume from Pan-African operations, which had a positive effect on their own results. We are seeing even revenues from these regions also grow as well. Some of the companies are starting to break even and even move to the state of profitability.
So this was good, considering the fact that this company started out early to say, look, well, we think we've done a good job at home, or at least we're still expanding. It's never say never, or never say you've done everything, but let's step out. This looks like a safety net for Dangote Cement.
Yes, I mean, if you're starting to see improvements in your Pan-African operations, Nigeria still remains your major market, major contributor to revenue as well. But if you're starting to, if we, for instance, have some weakness in their Nigerian earnings, we might see some improvement from Pan-Africans, which should also be able to shore up the results of the company.
If we look at this cement, and we use Dangote Cement as the poster boy for the cement industry in Nigeria. If you look at the financial ratios and everything else, do you think when Dangote Cement's main rival, which is Lafarge Africa, gets all its rights issue, whatever is into place, we should be looking at this company as well from an investor's point of view?
Well, yes, our expectation for Lafarge is also quite positive for earnings for full year 2017. With the higher cement prices that we saw, we expect this to impact positively on their revenue. And in terms of their finance cost as well, this was one of the major reasons behind the rights issue that was done to sort of restructure some of their debts and reduce finance cost pressures on their numbers. So we're expecting to see an improvement in both top line and bottom line. Now, the only issue with Lafarge is with the rights issue that has been done, shares have been, we've seen a dilution of shares. So this could have feedback negative impact on EPS. But the jury is still out on how investors could possibly react to this, because if you actually carry out an analysis of stocks in the industrial goods space and even in the broader market over the last year, Lafarge Africa hasn't really, in the domestic market here, Lafarge hasn't significantly benefited from the positive sentiment that we've seen in the market.
Let's trade this together after the break, Eronmosele. Let's trade the cement companies after the break. So let's trade some of these earnings that we have on the street. Yesterday, Unity Bank issued a statement, says, well, there's no $1 billion investment from Milost yet. Japan seems to have reading out the wave seems to have been out of that reported investment of $350 million. Cadbury earnings back in black, but investors turned a cold shoulder to the company yesterday. The Dangote Cement numbers came in strongly, but investors just kept one eye open and the other one closed on those shares. So I'm asking Eronmosele Aziba here, why is it that it looks like all the numbers are coming through, GT, Zenith, and the news are coming in, and investors just seem like, hold on a second.
Well, so the thing is, results that have come out have been largely positive, and expectations were that we'd see a sustained rally in the market based on the positive results that have been coming out. But what we've noticed is trading activities sort of signal that investors had already priced in this expectation of positive results into their valuation prior to the release of the results. So
you can't eat your cake and have it. Tell me, isn't it?
So we haven't seen that sort of knee-jerk rally in the market based on positive numbers that we've seen.
I knew what you guys did. You booked all your profit into last year.
A lot of sell-offs have been recorded in the market across board, large cap, small cap stocks, even mid cap stocks.
Yes, and so we seem now to have an explanation for what happened late last year when even companies like some banks whose earnings for 3 years are still hanging, see their share price just riding with the rest of Dangote and GT Bank and the rest, even though we don't have. So we're all back to earth. Thank you, everybody. We're now back to earth, isn't it?
Well, essentially, yes. That's what.
So we're back to earth. So what's your postulations as far as the market is moving on from here? Now the earnings are coming through. We have investors are still having some cold shoulders as far as these earnings. When do you think we'll get back to get heated up all over again?
Well, I mean, for most of the companies that are releasing their results now and that have released their results, their performance and forecast for future expectation is basically still under review to sort of determine what direction these companies will be going based on prevailing macroeconomic conditions. But we don't expect the bearish trend to be sustained because an analysis of the results that have come out signals that these companies are actually doing well. They're paying dividends, although we've seen dividend yield sort of pressured at a reduced rate than prior years. But the companies are doing well. Our outlook on companies remain largely positive. So we're still optimistic on performance of the companies. With the declines that we've seen in last 5 consecutive trading days, we believe some bargain opportunities right there in the market would start to come up, and then we'd see investors take position in these stocks. But the fact still, sorry for that, but the fact still remains that the gains that we would see this year won't be the same sort of gains that we saw last year, doing 40 to 55%.
Thanks for giving me that hint. Try to moderate my expectations for the market. Thank you very much. When those things are done, you crystallize this, you'll see them here. Eronmosele Aziba, one of the investment analysts at Afrinvest. And of course, the good news, which will be at the top of our news coming next year on Channels Television, is that the Dapchi girls, some of them had been returned. That's the news early today. Our correspondent and now confirmed that most of the abducted schoolgirls in Dapchi town in Yobe State have been returned. Those were library footages, the footage that you're seeing there, and of those empty classrooms where those girls were reportedly taken. Heavy security presence now being reported in Dapchi town. Our correspondent spoke to one of the girls and her parents, and of course, we are following that very closely. News comes here first, here on Channels Television, Nigeria's news leader. I'll see you again tomorrow, Thursday, the 22nd of March. Have a great day, everyone.